Your first week of incarceration, and you will be paroled fairly soon for your first weekend. Hooray! All right, now we are doing the next step of our sub. I don't even know what step I want to call this, but I'm just going to make some parts. Yesterday we made an engine. The day before we made some portholes. We made a hull design, and I made a propeller, which I can animate and stuff like that. So why don't we today make a periscope and an antenna and maybe a hatch. Okay, so a periscope is going to require a bend deformer and a couple of cylinders. So when you make cylinders, we'll keep it right here in the center until we're ready to move it, but I have to have my periscope thickness. And if you look at the initial segments of it, and again I'm viewing it by grout shading and lines, it doesn't have that many pieces parts for its height segments, so you can't, it's really hard to do this after the fact. So you kind of want to like think ahead and say like, well, how many parts am I going to need if I'm going to do polygonal modeling, or if I want to bend this. Like if you thought of your arm of having joint segments, you would have one for each digit of your finger, one for your wrist, one for your elbow, so that you can bend. Otherwise, if you didn't have those joints on your arm, you wouldn't be able to bend. So we're going to do more segments here so we can bend it. And you know, sometimes you need to give it enough so it'll be a smooth bend and not look all geometric. All right, so if you don't give it enough, it won't look good. So then we go to the bend deformer and we put the lime in the coconut. And we just want to bend the end there, so I'm going to scale my deformer down just to kind of get the end piece there. And then we'll put the bend deformer into the cylinder. And then we'll use that little dot. Now when you bend it, it has a tendency to like be unruly and not listen to you, and you'll be like, man, what the hell is going on? And so what you want to do, instead of clicking on the dot by hand, is kind of go over to strength, and then you can physically alter the angle. So I'm down here in the attributes. Remember, the attributes are the settings. So you can physically alter the angle. So I want the angle to be like 90 degrees. It's going the wrong 90, so I would type in -90. So that way I can control it. If you don't do that, whoopsie. If you don't do that and you want to like, I'm going to do it by hand, I'm that mighty and macho, how do I do that? Well, you're going to have to like really look at it from different angles, because you know, you can move it to line up better. The last thing you want is your periscope to be like off to the side and looking all dorky like that. So and then as far as strength goes, you don't want it to be this bent. That's more like plumbing or something. So what you do is you take your moving tool up there and you lift it up by the axis arrow, and you can limit the movement. You can also go to the deformer and you can change the strength at this point by manual. And you can also, what you want to do is put it within the box or unlimited. You know, you can alter how it's going to look. So if I move this around, you can see how it alters the deformation. So I moved it up, and then I moved it back. And you can see how now it's like perfect periscope-y type of thing. So I'm going to take that cylinder and copy paste it. So I copy pasted my cylinder over there. I'm going to get rid of the deformer and the copy. And I'm going to take that one, and since it's already kind of like perfectly lined up with the other one, I can kind of change and alter the physicality of that, and then rotate that onto its side 90 degrees. And oh, you know what? I don't need that one. Let's do a little bit more, a better thingy. We'll use a tube. And so notice I've left everything at coordinate 0 where it's made. I'm just kind of lifting it up a little bit. And I probably could copy a porthole here, but I don't want life to be hard. All right, so then we'll go ahead and rotate that. And then I'll lift that up. And you know, my periscope is not perfectly level there, I'm noticing. So I need to take it back a little bit in strength down here. Kind of level that out. There we go. And then we'll go to the tube. And we'll put that tube on there, and it's like, oops, what'd I do? I messed up the angle. So I have to go back. And then no. There we go. Let's see if that's straight. That's good. All right, we're not physically going to look through the periscope, but we want it to be straight. All right, so now with amazing newness, I will get that to kind of form around that, and like that, and like that. And then if we really want to add some like groovy details to it, we can do all kind of stuff. So we can go to the oil tanker and flip that onto its side. And like, remember when I was telling you that this makes a great lens? I don't even have to have that as a periscope. I can put a light in there. Sometimes they do that to, you know, when they get all cartoony. So when you squish the two halves together, it forms a lens. Or a good UFO, or even the beginnings of a good clamshell, and we're doing underwater, so that might be like the good beginning of a shell that we can sculpt later. And then I want to push it in there. All right. So now we have like a little lens coming out. Little details like that matter, you know. When you're a lazy person, you skip that kind of stuff. You skip the small stuff. You just like ignore it. And when you pay attention to the small details, that's what really makes things great. I'm going to group this together. So there's my periscope. I have no idea how to spell periscope. We can look up periscope real quickly. Okay, I guessed it right. Periscope. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. And so we will rename this. So when you want to rename an object over here, you just double click on the word periscope. You don't want to look like a dork and then spell that wrong. And so there it says periscope, so I know what it is, and then I can move the whole thing over, kind of like to be on my conning tower rather than behind it or something. And we can borrow from that. So like I could take, like I said, I could copy the cylinder before I could copy my cylinder, and I could take the copy over here and get rid of the bend deformer by deleting it. And then I could take that new copied cylinder, so, you know, recycle, reuse, cannibalize. We can make that like a little base. And then take a copy of that, shrink it down. It's kind of hard to see those little dots when you want to scale it, so you have to zoom in. And then that'll be like, you know, a little radio antenna or something. Noise effects. All right, and there we go. Let's do a hatch today, and then we'll do some oxygen tanks later next week. Where can I put my hatch? Like, I don't have a lot of space. I guess I'll put it on the front here, but I don't have a lot of room like I like to have. See if we can make it work. So let's make a rim for the hatch. We'll scale the whole thing down and move it forwards and see if we can fit that on the front there. And have it be flush. Rotation tool, activate, and then push it into the thing. And then that's sort of working. Let's make it longer, so it goes into the whole thing. All right, and then what's the inner radius of that? Inner radius is 30. Let's just make it an even 32. Okay, and then let's reuse the oil tank. Oil tank is great shape. And let's get that oil tanker over there. Let's squish it down. And then on the oil tanker, you have a radius, so we can tell it to be 32. And it's kind of a bulbous thing right now, so let's fix that. Oops, I scaled it back to 32. And then what was the angle that I rotated my tube at? So I could go click on it, look down here and see on the rotation, it's 37 degrees. Let's just make it an even 37. Oops. And then now we can match the angle to the oil tank and say on the same letter 37 degrees. And so now they match. And then all I have to do is kind of push it into position there. And I have a nice little hatch. All right, let's put a handle on our hatch because, you know, it needs a handle. Let's use a cylinder. And let's give, like we did before, the cylinder, I'm just going to lift it up so we can see it. A lot of segments, let's say 48 for the height. And then we'll use a bend deformer. I'm going to scale that deformer down. I only want to bend it on one part. And so this is kind of a rare circumstance where I took everything off the 0 coordinate of the grid while I'm modeling. I could have modeled this on a separate file and then just copy pasted it in to keep it all lined up, but now I have to like waste some time doing that. And so we want to rotate that. Perfect, we'll say 90 degrees. And then, just like I did before, I'll move the bend deformer all right, and then I'm going to copy that deformer now. So I made a copy of the deformer, I copy pasted it. Why? Because remember, you can do double deformers on object. And so if I flip that deformer upside down, 180 right there, okay, I can put that new deformer in my, oh, you know what, I need to spin it around so it's going the same direction. It's not going the same direction. So we'll say, you know what, I didn't want to flip it on the H180, my bad. I want to flip it 90 No. I want to flip it on the P90. There we go. On the P90 and on the H 180. No, wait, I'm screwing it up. It's 6 o'clock and I'm tired. I'm randomly guessing now. All right, so you know what? We have to do this by hand because my brain is not working right now. Oh, okay. All right, that's what we wanted. 270. It's not a magic number like 90. No wonder. All right, so you see what I'm doing? I kind of, you know what I could have done is I could have just, you know what? We'll do it this way just because. All right. Oh, you know what? It's slightly off on the first one. Let's see if we can fix that. To 270, and then we'll fix the other one. 270. All right, and then I'll put the second one into the deformer, and we'll see if we can get that to work. I want it to be within the box only. And I want that one to be within the box only. And we'll see if my plan, I think my plan is failing at this point. You know, all right, I messed up. Okay, I admit it. I screwed it up. But I don't even know why I did it that way. I'm going to destroy this begone thing that is embarrassed stupid. I'm going to we'll do a review of something easier. All right, so what we'll do is we'll go to the front view here, and we can basically, we'll draw it with the pen tool. This is actually how I should have done it. And we can draw it up here. So you can see it. I'm gonna kind of create a spline over here, yonder. Remember, you click, when you want it to curve, you click and hold down. And you can click on the points and adjust it. I did it relatively kind of sloppy there, but that'll work. All right, there's that'll be like a little bar handle. And then what I do is I create a circle spline. So let's put them side by side so you can see them. And remember sweeps. This will be a review of, because I haven't done any NURB review yet. I just realized that would be an easier way of doing it. I was kind of just going with this deformer tangent. I could have created a handle like this with the deformer, but like as you saw, it takes a lot of coffee and brain power, which I don't have right now. So we're going to sweep that. So we're going to create a sweep from our NURBs. They're right here. There's sweep. Sweep has two splines. First goes in the main spline, and then whatever you're sweeping along it, so whatever tube shape you want. Now, my circle's going the wrong way, so when I drag that into the sweep here, actually, let's just see. Oh yeah, it is working. Okay, so that's working as a good handle. The reason it's curving in like that at the bottom is probably because on the spline, if I go back and look at it, I curved the bottom point there a little bit. So let's just turn off the check marks, turn on the spline, and we'll go to that point only. So we're gonna go over here to our points tool and the toolbar, and you can see that when I began this point, I just clicked and let go. But when I ended it, I did a minute little handlebar, which is making it slightly curved, which is causing that weird twist. And under mesh spline, we have two things called hard and soft interpolation, which allows us to convert it, kind of like Illustrator tools when we're drawing with the pen tool. Hard interpolation will get rid of those handlebars, basically. Soft interpolation will give it back handlebars. So if I wanted that to have handlebars so I can, bend it, I would go to spline and put it on soft interpolation, and now it has, some big handlebars that I can play with. And the handlebars are what let you bend the line. So I'm going to go to spline and do hard interpolation. All right, so now when we go back and we turn on the points, it looks like I had too many points selected and I hard interpolated those, so I'll go back and put those back on. I wasn't paying attention. I'll put it back on soft interpolation. All right, and then turn back on the stuff, and there's my handle. Now, should I convert that before I do something else embarrassing and screw myself up? Yes, I will convert it. So mesh, just like you do with the deformers, with NURBS, you want to convert them too. The difference is when it has parts like that, it'll end up with caps and things like that, so you want to connect those, and then you can get rid of your original. So I'm left with just the sweep. And then of course it's way too big and bulky, but that's cool, because I could just take my scaling tool and scale it down, and then push it over there and push it down. And that's kind of slightly better than the way that I did it earlier, which was super stupid. And let's put that, where I think probably it'd be right there. I think a hatch needs a hinge, though, now that I'm looking at it, right? I mean, a hatch needs a hinge, so let's make a hinge out of some basic primitives. And we'll use a capsule shape with that. And let's zoom in on that. We need those to line up better. And then we will simulate some round little nuts and bolts. We'll put one into the other so it's a child parent, and then move it over there. Flip it onto its side, and then scale it to fit. So we now have a heavy-duty hinge, and that looks like a proper hatch. All right. And then lastly, we'll do some oxygen tanks. So at this point, I've shown you enough, really. You can kind of detail it all you want. I guess I could show you a few more things with NURBS, because I sort of forgot about them. So we can kind of I skipped them. So now I want to kind of review those. And we'll do a little bit more with some deformers and stuff like that, and make more the detail, the small stuff. All right. Anyways, that ends the sub, part 4, I think.